Hey everyone, I got a bunch of rice paper and napkins from decoupagenapkins.com, and last video I did rice paper on canvas, and today I'm going to be doing napkins on canvas with resin and glass, and I'm also going to do an identical one of the Snowman here with Mod Podge and glass, just to show you the difference and how easy it's done. And we're also going to be having a giveaway for some rice paper and napkins from DECORATIVE. So if you want to follow along and watch the video, later on in the video I'll tell you how to enter the drawing. So I picked up these napkins from DECOUPAGENAPKINS.com. They have some real pretty napkins and rice paper. And I don't know if you saw it, but a couple weeks ago I did a video with decoupaging rice paper onto canvas. And so I wanted to show you guys how to do it with napkins. And I have done it before, but it's been a long time. So the great thing about napkins is you have four. One napkin has 4 pictures, and all of these napkins are 3-ply. A little bit difficult to get apart, but it is doable, and they are very, very thin once you get the 2 plies off of it. It did take me a few minutes to do it, so I am fast forwarding through it, and you'll see my cat driving me crazy, walking back and forth over me. He wants to sit on that paper. If it was up to him, he'd sit right on top of that canvas there. I watched multiple videos over again, even though I have done it before, and one of the best videos I found was on a channel called Mason's Creation. So if you get a chance, check it out. So I used the water brush, the same water brush I used with the rice paper, and I feel like with the rice paper you could just use a regular brush and dip it in water because it's not as flimsy or as delicate as the napkins. So but the water brush doesn't give out as much water. It's more controlled. So, I mean, it's doable with a regular brush, but I found this easier to do than using a regular brush, because see how it just puts out a very thin stream of water. If you put too much water on it, it could totally rip the napkin apart. I actually found that water brush up at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Once I was done, I cut up a gallon-sized baggie into actually 2 plastic squares, so it can be used twice. I guess you can reuse these, you just have to wash them and dry them. But I want you to take note that that cat just fit perfect top to bottom on that canvas. And you'll see what happens next. So anyway, next I get my Mod Podge and I just paint it on the canvas. That cat is upside down on that plastic paper so that it ends up right side up when I flip it over. And next you're going to see me squirting the cat napkin with water. And they say when you squirt it with water, it actually expands. So you can see me kind of pulling on it to straighten it out because it wrinkles up. And it actually does expand. So it got larger. So when I picked it up to put it on top of the canvas, it was too big. Look at how the hat was hanging over it, and it didn't do that before. So I was really upset, and I was trying to straighten it out, thinking maybe I can put the paws down, and look what happened. So luckily the napkin comes with 4 cats instead of just 1. So I ended up tossing this one and starting over again. But before I do the cat one, I decided to try another one. And at first I wasn't going to redo the cat one because I thought I needed to get a larger canvas, but in a minute you'll see what I end up doing. So the second napkin that I'm doing is a real pretty snow scene with the snowman in the middle of it. And this one I actually do 2 of them eventually, and one I do with Mod Podge and one I do with resin. So keep watching. So this one I do the same way. I set it down on the plastic, and again I'm setting it upside down so that when I flip it over it will be right side up. paper, I spray it, and it expands, and it kind of wrinkles up, so you have to pull it, which actually makes it larger. It's crazy that it does that. And then this one I painted, of course, with Mod Podge, the canvas, and then flipped it over. And this was really easy to do. And then after I put it down on the canvas, I kept the plastic on it and smoothed it down with my fingers. Don't try to smooth it down after you take the plastic off, because the napkin is very delicate and it will rip very easily. So just smooth it down with the plastic still on it. And the mistake that I made with this one is, so a little bit hangs over the bottom and the top. And I really shouldn't have pressed it down or let it fall down onto the sides, because we want to get that off. So it made it more difficult with the overhanging edges falling down on the side. So I just set that aside and let it dry. My Snowman canvas is totally dry, but look at the Mod Podge edges had gone down and adhered to the canvas on the sides. What you're supposed to be able to do is take a little take a little sanding block and just pull down on the edges, sand down. And because it was stuck to the sides, I had to do a little more work. And here you can see I'm going over the sides with that, and I actually end up squirting it with water, which loosens it, and you can use the sanding block, or you can use your hand and kind of rub the Mod Podge paper off of the sides. So here you see I'm going down. That's what you're supposed to be able to do if it's not adhered to the side, and it'll come right off. And this side was a little bit easier. This might have actually been a little bit wet still, which you really should wait till it's totally dry. So that was the mistake I made with that one. The edges you have to kind of keep up so that they don't adhere to the side, so that when you sand down on them, the edge just comes right off. So this, I made it a little bit more difficult, but honestly, these napkins are so flimsy that they kind of just fall down without you even pushing them down. They fall down and adhere to the side, so you really have to kind of work at it to keep them from sticking to the side. So when I say these napkins are flimsy, I don't mean that they're flimsy from this company. I just mean napkins in general. Once you get them down to just one ply, they are very thin and delicate and fall apart very easily. So you have to be very careful. I know I'm kind of going through this fast. This was actually 4 minutes, and I sped it up to 2 minutes. But you can see how I'm just scraping away at the side, and it really ended up turning out okay. A little bit of that napkin actually bled when I squirted water on it, but it came right off. So all in all, it turned out great. A little bit of sanding and water. The edges all came clean, and it looks perfect. So here I am back to the cat again, and I do the exact same thing that I did with him initially, but keep on watching, because I'll show you how I did it different this way to make it work. So again, I just got it down to the one ply. I used the water brush and went around the edges and took all the excess off. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking, why couldn't I have just put the whole napkin on just like that? I think it would have been okay. But anyway, I did it like that, and then again painted the canvas with the Mod Podge. There goes that cat again. And I did get the plastic out, but I did not put it on top of the plastic. I just very carefully picked up the cat and laid it down on top of the Mod Podge, and then put the plastic on top of it to smooth it out. And look at how that fits perfect on there. Maybe his paws are going to get cut off a little bit, but it's nothing like it was before. So if you have something that you're barely fitting on, do it that way. And that worked really well. And then I set that one aside to dry. And then moving on to the next one, and I decided to do one more. I thought this was so pretty. And this time the 2 plies on the back came off all at once, which made it even easier. So I did this one the same as I did the Snowman, and I cut out my baggie, and I set my napkin upside down on the baggie, and then I painted my canvas with the Mod Podge. I squirted my napkin with the water. I'm going a little bit slower with this so that you can see how it, when you squirt it with water, it really wrinkles up, and then you kind of pull on it very gently to straighten it out, and as you do that, it actually gets larger. So that's what happened with the cat. So you have to be very careful when you do this that you don't tear the napkin, and for some reason it works. You can just kind of pull on it very gently, and it actually makes it larger and gets all the wrinkles out. But that water holds it or adheres it to the plastic so that when you flip it over, it does not come off, and it makes it easier to set on the canvas. And then straightened it out and flipped it over and put it on top of the canvas. And this time, here I am trying to keep the edges from flopping down onto the canvas, and it's really hard to do, but I think I got some of it to stay up, but it is so fragile, it's really difficult to do. And so there's the 3 of them that I've done so far. So next I have to get the edges off of the 2 that have dried, and see how I left that up? That's what you're supposed to do. It's hard to do, but I was able to do it. And so I'm going to go through this slow so you can see it better. So I just take my little sanding block and sand down, and look at it, comes right off. Real easy if you can get the edges to stay up. And then again on this side, just go down, drag it down. You don't want to drag it up because it could rip it. Just drag it down and it should come right off. And look at, I got most of the paws on it, and before, with it all stretched out, I don't know if then when it shrunk up again, would the feet and head have been on it? I'm not sure. I didn't want to take the chance. And then here is the second snowman that I decided to do, because I told you I was going to do one snowman with resin and glass, and the other snowman with Mod Podge and glass, so you can see the difference and see that it can be done just with Mod Podge. You don't necessarily have to use resin. And then these sat out to dry overnight. So it's the next day and they're all dry, and the cat one worked out great. I was able to get the remnants off the bottom, and some of it stuck and some of it kind of stuck up, so I'm going to have to do like I did yesterday as far as squirting it with water and removing it. But first I'll take off what I can with the sander, and again just pulling down on it. Don't push up, just pull down and then pull off whatever you can, and then the rest of it you can squirt with some water and kind of rub it with your finger to get it off. And honestly, it's not that hard to do. You just have to be patient. And the rest of this I'm just going to fast forward. It took me about 10 minutes to go over it and get the last 2 real clean, and I have this fast forwarded to like 2 minutes. But again, just use the little sander, and then what you can't get off, spray with water and kind of wipe it off with your finger, because it really is impossible to keep the napkin, because it's so flimsy, from falling back down, and that's just how napkins are. And if anybody has done this before and has a different way of doing it, I would love to hear from you. And like I said, this really wasn't that hard. And next we're going to do the resin and glass, and one of the snowmen we're going to be using Mod Podge and glass. And then for the cat, because it had an edge on it that you could see on the canvas, it was just barely visible, I decided to go over the top of it with Mod Podge just to make sure it blended in more with the canvas. So I just gave it a quick coat of Mod Podge, and this Mod Podge that I'm using is actually not the gloss Mod Podge, just the regular Mod Podge matte finish, because if we're putting resin over it, it's going to be shiny anyway, so it really doesn't matter what kind of Mod Podge you use, except for the snowman that we're only going to be doing Mod Podge on. Then I put the painter's tape around the back of the perimeter of each of them, and this will catch the resin drips, will get stuck on the tape, and then you just pull the tape off. And this tape is actually frog's tape. Someone had suggested using this, saying that it helps to prevent the resin from getting in between the tape and the canvas, and it's also easier to pull off. So I thought I would try it this time. Then I mixed up my resin. The resin I'm using for this project is Bond Crafter Tabletop Epoxy. And here you can see me with my little levelers, just making sure they're all level. And each of those canvases are actually sitting up on cups. So that prevents the canvas from sticking to the protective paper underneath it. And I just go ahead and put the resin on, spread it around, all the sides, the top, and I do this with all three of them. It's easier to spread out your resin without glass on, if at all possible. Sometimes it's not possible. You have to have your glass on first, but in this case I could spread it out first. So I have this sped up super fast. I really am not putting on I'm not putting the resin on that fast. It wouldn't be a good idea. I'm slowly spreading the resin over everything, over the top and over the sides, to give it a nice even coat. And next I took my gloves off because they were so sticky with resin. Really, I guess I could have washed them with soap and water, but it's easier just to use a new pair of gloves. And actually, for me to handle the glass, it's easier to do it without gloves on. The main glass that I'm using for this is the ASHLAND decorative filler, the silver reflective glass. It's like a mirrored glass. You see it down in a container down in the far left hand corner, and I use that mainly on it, but I also have some of the same glass colored with some green and with some blue that I also use in different areas. And the paint that I use to color the crushed glass, I use either the Tamiya translucent spray paints and sometimes the Tamiya metallic spray paints. I also use the Dr. Martin's Bombay India ink, and both of those paints, whether it be the spray paint or the Dr. Martin's Bombay India ink, do not fade and they do not run, and honestly within a half an hour they're dry, they're ready to go on your project. You can pour resin over them, you do not have to seal them. They're really nice paints. So anyway, I'm just sprinkling the glass around, and then using a little toothpick to move the glass into the areas that I want it to be in case it gets out of the area that I want it in. I'm also using some teeny tiny crushed glass for the snow on the little trees and that, and also in some other areas. And I don't know if this crushed glass is what I got from Yvonne or not, but I know she Yvonne from our Facebook group, I know she sells this glass too, and it's super pretty and super tiny for smaller projects. That's what I put on his paws and his chest and up on his the brim of his hat, the kitty cat's hat, and also in some other areas for the snow on the trees and whatnot. Just have fun putting the glass on, but don't get too carried away, because I did a project the other day with some cardinals. I think they're cardinals. They're red birds, and but it was even a smaller napkin than this. It was like a cocktail size napkin, and I did it on I believe it was a 2x2 canvas, and I got carried away with the glass. And after the resin dried, I did one with Mod Podge and one with glass. And actually that was the video I was going to make, but I decided, it was a disaster. So I'm going to show you them at the end. I'm just not going to go through the whole process with it. But this will show you that sometimes too much glass is too much. So you can put too much glass on something. So it's really kind of funny. You kind of can't tell what I did because it has so much glass on it. But keep on watching and I'll show you towards the end. So I know I'm going super fast with this. I wanted to show you the whole process, but I just didn't want to bore you with it all. And then actually after I turned the camera off, I got some real tiny red beads, and put them on the Christmas tree that they're carrying on the bicycle and on the Christmas tree next to the snowman. Oh, and then you can see I'm putting some blue glass down at the bottom of the fence also. So, and then I did put some teeny tiny red berries or beads, which are supposed to be berries, down in the far right hand corner of the snowman. And honestly, on projects like this, you can use other things besides glass. You can find some different beads or sparkly anything, you know, anything else that you want to add. There was something that I was doing that I thought, oh, that would have been so cute if I had used buttons. It might have been for somebody's eyes. But anyway, so after I got the glass done, I just set this aside and let it cure overnight. So now we're going to move on to the snowman with the Mod Podge. And this is just done with Mod Podge and glass, no resin at all. And so now this time I'm using the gloss Mod Podge because this will give it a nice shine. You wouldn't want to use the matte finish, even though the first coat of it on the canvas was the matte finish, which didn't really matter. So now this is the gloss. So I'm starting out by just putting a nice coat of the gloss Mod Podge on the front of the canvas, and also I'm putting the Mod Podge all around the edges so it has a matching finish along the edges too. And then I just start putting the glass on it just like I put the glass on the one that had resin on it. And you know, some green glass around his brim, some of the ASHLAND decorative filler reflective glass on the snowman, the small crushed glass around the Christmas trees, and so on and so on. And I even put the little tiny berries down in the far bottom left-hand corner. I really didn't put any more or less glass on it than I did with the resin, and I even put some, so these are the beads that I had come back with after for the snowman with the resin. I also put the little beads on the tree, the red beads you see me putting on now. I thought that was a nice finishing touch. Next, I mix 1 ounce of gloss Mod Podge with 1 ounce of water and mix it up. Straighten out the glass a little bit with the toothpick, and then I just start drizzling the Mod Podge over all the glass. And honestly, none of the glass moves. It pretty much stays where it is. Of course, you have to be, you know, a little gentle with it and just totally cover everything up. Just totally saturate it. Don't be afraid. Probably don't want to just pour the cup on it, but I was drizzling it over it with the brush. And when it's completely covered, just let it sit there for 20 minutes. And then after 20 minutes, I came back and this is what it looked like. I just start to gently tip it and let the let the Mod Podge run off. And really there wasn't a lot of extra, a little bit drained off of it and down the side. And then I kind of took my finger and swiped the Mod Podge on the side to kind of even it out so that there wasn't drips running down the side after. I put a little cup under it to kind of hold it like that for a few minutes. And a lot of times when I've done it and it's been like a Christmas tree, a lot of the Mod Podge is hidden under the Christmas tree, and when you tip it on the side, a ton of Mod Podge runs out. But really with this, there was hardly any that drained out. And then I tried tipping it the other way a little bit, but I really didn't feel like any more was going to drain off, so I just laid it back flat and let it dry the rest of the way. Hey everyone, so these were pretty easy to do. I was trying to be very careful not to put too much glass on it, because in a minute I'm going to show you another project I did that I didn't make a video out of because I didn't like the way they turned out and I put too much glass on it. So I'm going to bring this in. I think these are super cute, and isn't that weird how when you spray water on it, how it expands like that? So the trick is, if it's just fitting on your project or on your canvas, don't don't squirt it with water. Just put it on as is, or get a bigger canvas. So this is my favorite. I think this turned out so pretty. And after I shut my phone off recording, I put the little beads on the Christmas tree. So I really like the way this one turned out. This is probably my favorite. I like the kitty cat. You know, I have 4 cats and I don't ever do any cat projects. I should. And then this is the Snowman. So I did this with and without the resin. So this is with the resin and this is with the Mod Podge. I'll put them side by side. And you can tell that the resin one has more of a shine, but still the Mod Podge one, the glass really shines on it and it looks real pretty. And I'll do a little test with, I don't know if you could see me doing it, but it really doesn't, nothing fell off of it. Not even those little beads at all. Yeah, I was able to put those little red beads up here and the little beads here, nothing fell off of it. Isn't that pretty? So you can do it with Mod Podge if you're not wanting to use resin. So I was trying to be real careful with the glass because this is some rice paper that I had gotten through napkins, decoupagenapkins.com. And I thought these were so cute, the cardinals, and I think that's what they are, cardinals, I hope that's right. And I just thought that would be really neat to do, but I got carried away with the glass, and I'm gonna show you what I did to them. They look terrible. So that's why I didn't make the video. I ended up putting resin on them, but look at how you can't really tell what's going on here. This is before, kind of what they look like, and after. And if I had just put less glass on it, like maybe let this part here with the tree branch and just put a few red berries on it and sprinkled some very fine glass. I used the ASHLAND decorative filler and I think it's just too big for this. I think the larger the print that you have, even bigger than napkins, is the prettiest that you can do. So I wanted to show you this because I just didn't want you to make the same mistake I did. Be careful with how much glass you put on it because you can really cover everything up. So these, I think, turned out much better. And they were easy to do, but I still think that the rice paper is much easier to do than the decoupage napkins. The rice paper was easy just to pick up and lay down. But anyway, and you could have done, when I did my decoupage rice paper, I let it go over the side and I painted and tried to make it all come together, you know, blend together. Whereas with these, I just cut it off at the edge because the paper was white anyway, so it just kind of blends in like that. But anyway, I'll show you close-ups again at the very end, so keep watching. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new. I'm gonna be doing a giveaway. I'm gonna give away some of the rice paper and some of the napkins that I did here. If you guys would like some and would like to try it yourself, I guess I'll pick 2 people. I'll do a raffle for 2 people. So if you just want to write in the comments that you would like to try the rice paper and napkins, like to try to decoupage the rice paper and napkins, I'll enter you into the drawing and we'll do a drawing say a week after the video comes out. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something new. Come check out our Facebook page. Consider subscribing if you haven't, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.